few weeks back, I uploaded some shooting footage with the new Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0. I ran into some malfunctions with a couple of brands of ammunition, and I pulled the gun apart when I got home because the gun was also shooting a little wonky, and I found a whole lot of stuff I don't like about that gun. It's one part design-related issues, one part QC. Smith & Wesson's quality control is just really not great. I've already sent one gun back to them this year that didn't work, one of those Smith & Wesson revolvers I was testing. And the Bodyguard 2.0 has a bunch of MIM'd parts that are done improperly and then improperly fitted to the gun. So there's a giant burr on the frame part of the feed ramp because the gun's got a two-piece feed ramp to make it smaller. As such, it wasn't as reliable as I would want it to be. Both the Glock 42 and the LCP Max that I've been testing are more reliable. So I went back to the drawing board and said, okay, the LCP Max is the least shot of the three guns I've shot because I found it to be quite snappy. It was reliable and relatively accurate, albeit that it was shooting a little bit off for me. So I said, how can we optimize that? I found a YouTube video that I'll link down below. And the long and the short is that the LCP Max is kind of undersprung for what it is. So I got a heavier weight recoil spring, and I swapped out the guide rod for one that's made of a billet steel part opposed to the MIM'd part that they used before. I have yet to shoot this gun. It is lubricated, it is relatively clean, but not totally clean. I have a mix master between the three magazines. I have some XTPs, I have some Fiocchi Defense Dynamics kind of crappy JHPs, some Blazer brass, and some Fiocchi brass. I am using the 10-round magazines. Again, I'll link it down below, but I found a little weirdness where the 12-round magazines with the extended floor plates were very sloppy. I had a suspicion that Ruger was just putting the same 10-round spring in all the magazines. I pulled the magazine apart, lo and behold, I'm right. So I'm gonna get some extra power springs for those. I might pester Ruger to see if they make them. But that's not a great thing to be putting, you know, so you might say, well, the spring's just got 2 more rounds in there. The issue is that when the magazine's half full or empty, the floor plate is super sloppy and it does impact your ability to shoot the gun. So I'm gonna shoot this gun. Like I said, I've not shot it yet since I put the different springs in here. We'll see how it shoots. So I'm just shooting a B8 at 5 yards. I'm not really going for accuracy here, more so just to see if it's still reliable. So we'll come up here and shoot. The gun's still shooting fairly low, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it was 100% reliable there. That magazine was mostly jacketed hollow points there. Gun locked open on empty. Let's come up here. The gun is still quite snappy, but hey, I kind of expected that. And this last magazine here is all XTP, and I don't have the pinky extension, so we're gonna have a finger dangling off the bottom of the gun here, so. Okay, so the gun was 100% reliable there, locked open all 3 times, which honestly, with the heavier weight recoil spring, kind of impressive there. And it's still 100% reliable. This gun is far from perfect, but the thing is, for me, that the Bodyguard, I want to like it a lot. And I don't want to sound like a Smith & Wesson hater. I've got a dozen guns from them. But the issue is just purely that the Bodyguard is a first-generation product that's being made by a company that moved somewhere else in the country to pay people less than they're paying them in Massachusetts. Their quality control's been crap for 10 or 15 years now. Ruger is a company that I don't necessarily want to say that they're higher quality than Smith & Wesson, but their quality control certainly is. So yeah, this gun's a little bit snappier in the hand. The extra power recoil spring did help out a little bit, but the gun's still shooting low here. So just to put it into perspective, I'm going to reholster this thing back up. Just to put it in perspective, I had the front sight dead on the X all the times. I think the windage is fine. I would say that a little bit of offset windage there is all me, but the gun's shooting kind of low at 5 yards. I don't know if that's intentional because of the sight height. I'm not a fan of that. I like a good combat hold. But, you know, what can I say? This gun's been 100% reliable. It's been more reliable than the Glock 42, which has been a very reliable gun, and certainly more reliable than the Bodyguard 2.0. So I'm going to be doing some more testing with this gun while I figure out if I'm going to send the Bodyguard back to Smith & Wesson to have them fix all the shit that's wrong with it, or if I want to monkey with it myself. But, again, I hate to make this a Bodyguard rant thing while I'm shooting a gun that's reliable. You can't disassemble the slide on the Bodyguard without removing the rear sight. And the issue I have is that that's not very user-friendly, but also my rear sight will not move. I've locked the gun in my vise, I've hit it with a proper punch and a big hammer, and it won't move, so I can't even take the slide apart to test out the barrel geometry between the feed ramp and the frame and the feed ramp on the barrel to get that mimmed burr, not burr, but the mimmed ledge that's in there out. So I'll be doing a tabletop video on that gun. But in the short term, I won't be shooting it very much. I'm going to be shooting this and the G42 more to finish up the testing on these two guns. But yeah, rambly video here, but I would say that these extra 4 pounds you get in the recoil spring from 9 to 14 certainly makes this gun feel a little bit better. It is a little bit more force to rack, but it's not bad. And I get that that was just 30 rounds, but that was 30 rounds of hollow points mixed in with 2 different brands of FMJs. So this isn't a review of the gun, but I'll be continuing to test this gun out more as time goes on. Thanks for watching.